This is Take 5 with Bentley, Nevada. In the studio today with me is Tonya Woods. She is the Global Product Compliance Leader for Bentley, Nevada. And we were talking a little bit offline, Tonya. Pretty good sized team that you oversee. Is it just the Bentley business or is it wider than just Bentley?
It is just the Bentley business right now.
Do you tend to coordinate a lot with your counterparts in some of the other digital solutions businesses like Nexus and Panametrics and some of the others?
Absolutely. One of the things that I really appreciate working for the digital solutions business is that we have a wide variety of different product compliance leaders and other staff, and we'll get together fairly regularly, especially if we come across a problem or a protections concept that we're not familiar with. There's always some expert that we can find that's willing to help.
That's really one of the neat things about being part of a bigger team is you don't always have to kind of reinvent the wheel. Somebody's probably been there before.
Absolutely.
I know one of the things that is important, particularly to OEMs, when they're building a turbine, they're building a generator, some kind of rotating or reciprocating machine, and they need to instrument the machine, and they'll ship all over the world, is this ability to have approvals for all these different parts of the globe. And I would imagine there might have been a season where we thought this was going to get simpler, but in many ways we're seeing as many kind of country specific and region specific approvals as ever. I mean, off the top of your head, how many do you have to juggle for a typical Bentley product?
For certifications, thousands, literally, between all of the different product lines and all of the countries. I think that people don't realize the amount of certification that's required when you're putting a product out. There's environmental compliance like REACH and RoHS. I think people think Bentley, Nevada, and they think about the hazardous area. That is a huge part of it, but we also do radio certification,
Yes.
Maritime approvals,
Right.
Functional safety,
Right.
EMCMI, general safety,
Right.
all of it falls
Right.
under my team.
Well, even if we're going to say I need a Zone 0, Zone 1 approval, you've got a lot of different regions with different approvals. There's ATEX, there would be North America, and help me out.
Yeah, PESO,
Yes.
CCOE for India.
Mhm.
We've got the CUTR EAC mark for Russia region. You mentioned in Metro for Brazil,
Yeah.
TIIS for China. We've got Japan. Yeah, all kinds.
So basically, just to use a product in one area, depending on what part of the world you're in, you've got a different approval agency that you need to work with for that. And then multiply that by at least a half a dozen to a dozen monitoring systems. And I would imagine the sensors number into the hundreds or thousands. So I can see why you're a busy person.
Yeah, it's a lot.
With Orbit 60, we've had guests in the studio over the last couple of weeks and been talking a lot about that new flagship platform. And I know there's a lot of excitement in the business to get that out the door. I think the real question is with hazardous area approvals, it's always tough to launch a product and have the approvals available concurrently. So as you look at kind of the three main global North America, ATEX, and then IECEX, I guess, would be kind of the big three. What's the timeline for that with Orbit 60?
So those ones are already done. So when we went available to ship, we already had those certificates ready to go. And then we've already launched into every single other parallel country. So we're starting to get those trickled in. And then as we start on phase 2 of Orbit 60, we're already lock in step with the MPI team so that when they're ready to ship, we're there with our certificates.
Oh, that's so refreshing because I am so used to product launches where approvals are not concurrent. And it's like if you need approvals, you're a second-class citizen, you have to wait.
No, we've learned a lot. We've simplified our processes. We've got a really great team. It's awesome.
That's going to be good news for people listening that are, because a lot of times I would say at least a third of these systems, you may have better statistics, but a lot of years of engaging with customers and selling, monitoring, and so forth, about a third end up in hazardous areas where they need approvals of some kind. Is that consistent with what you're seeing?
For hazardous area approvals, I'd say yes. About a third of them end up in a hazardous area location. But, when you're looking at all the rest of the approvals that go into general safety, EMCMI, and the different countries that require those different things, we're finding that we ship probably 75% of our units have some kind of country specific mark that has to go on there.
Yeah, so it really has become a must-have if you want to conduct business in the modern environment.
Absolutely. Pay to play.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, Tonya, 5 minutes goes by really fast, and I'm going to keep you in the studio for a few more visits here. There's a lot to talk about around this particular topic. You've been listening to Take 5 with Bentley, Nevada, Baker Hughes Business.